Good morning, friends. Today's topic is obstacle in the path of devotion. Sri Ramakrishna prescribed path of devotion as most convenient and most efficient for most of us in this age called Kali Yuga. The path of devotion doesn't need to feel that the world is unreal or I am not the body or to focus that I am the soul. Nothing you have to say. You need to be as you are, thinking what you are thinking. As you are the human being with flesh, blood, soul, everything come together, you are the human being. Deny nothing. Accept the whole. That is the path of devotion. Then what about the spirituality? What about going forward toward realize the truth? Then that is the path of devotion, which comes, the truth will come through the path of love. And that path of devotion is called Bhakti Yoga. All these yogas, each one is powerful enough to reach you to the goal, either through jnana or karma or dhyana or bhakti. And these all yoga are meant to purify different faculties of human being. Bhakti yoga is concerned with purification of emotion and sentiments. So this Bhakti yoga is easy for most of us, convenient, efficient. Because we all have love. We all experience love. Only yoga needs its purification and its intensification and its channelization. Where to channelize? Towards God. Which is a little difficult. Our love, it just fritters away in the things. We need to make it stronger, and there should be one voluntary attempt to channelize towards God. We all have the idea of God, that God is the reality, which is the soul of our souls, and the soul of the souls of everyone. That is the ultimate God. Bhakti is defined by many saints, among them the composer of Bhakti Sutras, Narada. He said, Sa tasmin parama prema rupa. What is bhakti? Bhakti, he said, is the supreme love for God. That is bhakti. Bhakti is love for God more than for anything else. So supreme love will come later on, it's the highest realization. But when we start loving God more than others, we have started treading the path of bhakti. Bhakti is also defined as a state of mind in which the mind melts and it constantly flows towards God. Mind's constant flow towards God is bhakti. So this bhakti has many phases. We, as ordinary worldly persons, have yet not that supreme love for God. But we have some love for God. And that is the beginning. We can begin from the first step. So there are many steps in devotion. So first step of devotion is ceremonial worship. Ceremonial worship to whom? To God. What is God? We have an idea. God is infinite being. He is the supreme being. He is formless. Then where to worship? God is to be worshipped in the symbol. We need some symbol to worship God. The symbol can be an image, can be a geometrical figure, can be some structure like a cross or Om or moon and a star, crescent and a star. Anything can be a symbol of God. And like that, method of worship will also vary. Some will worship with just praying 5 times a day. And that symbol, very much symbolizes that they are doing this to glorify glorify and to please God. And God as the innermost being of ourselves, that is the best worship. So symbol of God reminds of God. And worship in Hinduism is, as the reading said, that Sri Krishna said in the Gita, you can worship me with flower, leaves, water and fruit. Just offer that to me, I will be pleased. What I accept is not the flower and fruit. I accept the love and devotion that you have planted in those flower and fruit. That is, I like that. That is very tasty to me. I accept this flower and fruit as you are worshipping me in the symbol of my image or my photograph or of image within your mind. I also accept the image or the symbol of your love in the form of fruit or flower or sweets or water or whatever we offer. Those are the symbol, but stuff, inner stuff is the love in that. So this worship of God is ceremonial worship, offering with many items. In different religions, different things are there. Some just light the candles and kneel down and pray. Some have elaborate things to offer, right, as in Hinduism. Some have the food of various kinds. It all depends on, it doesn't depend what you offer, but what you have inside that when you prepare that. Was your mind flowing towards God when we are preparing this, cutting the fruits or cooking the food or preparing the worship place? What was the state of your mind? That will count how much you will gain from this worship. The worship are two kinds. One is called Vaidhi and another is called Para. Vaidhi worship is that ceremonial worship. You have to pray 5 times a day, bathe 3 times in a day, and do japam 4 times in a day. Like that as the Vaidhi Bhakti. Go to the temple, go on a pilgrimage occasionally. Those are all come Vaidhi Bhakti. So what Vidhi or what your scriptures prescribed way of devotion. Those are important first steps. That after practicing Vaidhi Bhakti or Gauni Bhakti or Sakama Bhakti, devotion with some desires. Desire maybe for worldly things, what we feel lack, what we feel we are feeling helpless without those things. We have to come and pray to God, knowing God is the supreme giver. He can give anything. He is there to help me. I have nowhere else to look for help but you, O Lord. That's Sakama Bhakti. Then comes Nishkama Bhakti. Another kind of Sakama Bhakti is after you have asked for the worldly things, better asking is for purification of your mind, getting rid of your anger, being free from hatred, treating all as equal, not having like and dislike, may I have supreme devotion. That is another kind of Sakama Bhakti, refined Sakama Bhakti. That Sakama Bhakti will lead to Nishkama Bhakti. You just love God. Ask nothing. You just become so happy when you come near God. Just sitting on the seat in front of the symbol of God, you are just taken to another height of the state of the mind. That is, you want nothing. You have nothing to ask. Your desires are fulfilled. You know that seeking the things of the world are very small and insignificant. Those will take care of themselves. Your want from the world has become less and less and less as you progress in your spirituality. So you want just to love God without asking anything. Like a mother loves her child. Doesn't ask anything. Just is happy in the presence of child. Like that is Parabhakti. You are so pleased and happy and overwhelmed in presence of God. Be in front of the God. That will again evolve. There is evolution of that also. You don't have to sit in front of the symbol after that. Then you find God sitting in every heart. Every human being becomes a temple. And there, instead of seeing a human being, you see God residing, your own Ishta residing in the heart of that human being. That Ishta comes taking the face of the human being that you see. The man becomes secondary, God becomes primary when you meet any other man. That is the highest of Parabhakti. Such type of devotee then says, God is present in the hearts of all. And he says, Mujme Ram, Tujme Ram, Sabme Rama Samaya. Ram is in me. I see there is only God in me. And I see God in you. And I see God everywhere. Then what do? Then love all. Sabse karle pyar jagat mein koi nahi hai paraya. There is no alien, there is no other. It's all your own God in different forms that are all everywhere in the world. That type of feeling comes to that devotee and attains highest worship through the practice of Vaidhi Bhakti, Japam, mental worship, contemplation, and ultimately reaches that. These are different stages. The ceremony of worship is important as the first step of gaining the devotion to God. When such happens, one Muslim poet wrote, Jahan mein dekha tu hi nazar aaya. Wherever I see, O Lord, I see only you. Jo kuch hai so tu hi hai. Swami Vivekananda sang this song to Sri Ramakrishna. As well, the song, first in the morning song today, was the one which was sung by Swami Vivekananda. Another song Swami sang is this. Wherever I see, it's only you. Whatever is there, oh Lord, it's only you. I have realized that. I have full conviction of that. I have no doubt about this thing, that it is one you, O Lord Supreme, that have become everything, every human being, every creature, everyone is you. Sri Krishna said in the Gita, Yo mam pashyati sarvatra, sarvam cha mai pashyati, tasyaham na pranasyami, sachamena pranasyati. When one is able to see me in all, me, the Lord in all, and all in the Lord, when that type of vision, that type of wisdom comes, then there is no going away from God. You are soaked in God consciousness. You have become merged, your mind has become flowed and merged in the God consciousness. Then there is no deviation, there is no slip. We say that we take initiation, we come to temple, often people say, Swami, that person comes to temple for 20 years, that person is in Vedanta for 25, 30, Vedanta society is in 40 years. But why is there no change? Another person asked, that person took initiation from Ramakrishna mission, but I don't find any change in her behavior. Why is no spiritual growth? Why there is no transformation? I don't know what the inner is, but external there is no change. She is as greedy, as outrageous as she used to be 20 years ago before taking initiation. So what did initiation do? What did that he is coming to the temple for 40 years do? I don't find external change. Yes, when there is no external change, there is little chance there has been internal change. Internal transformation will surely bring external change. When there is happiness in the heart, that flashes in the face. Purity flashes in the face. In the Upanishads, the Guru sent his student without teaching anything about the Vedas or the religion or the Brahman or the God. He said, go and tend my cows. There are 400. When they become 1,000, come back to me. Then I will teach. Then you will become fit to get my lessons. So that student goes and starts tending as the teacher said, without expecting anything. He was not taught any lesson, nothing, but he was asked to serve the cows. And one day he was just with full attention and devotion, he was doing that. One day, one bull says, now we are 1,000, O Satyakama, take us to your Guru. He looks, who is saying a bull? This voice, human voice is coming from the mouth of a bull. And he said, it is not only I am saying, 3 more things will teach you. That, and he teaches something about the Brahman. And he says, so what more 3 things? One is bird, mudga bird, swan and fire. They will teach you more about Brahman. So he learns about Brahman while coming back, starts going back. And they were really 1,000. So when he comes near the teacher sees the face of the boy and he said, your face looks like a Brahma Jnani. I can understand seeing your face. the light that often the halo is shown in the diagrams, that halo is not on the background. That halo, that light emanates from the person. A happy person, a good person, a friendly person is recognized by his very appearance. A little you talk, you feel, oh, that's a very nice man, you see. This is the inner transformation. It all shows how his heart are. So when we practice for so many years and yet we do not have inner transformation, what went wrong? There was the Guru said, asked him to do japa. He was practicing, he was doing japa, but why there is nothing change in his behavior? What had happened is, Sri Ramakrishna gives the example that one farmer wanted to bring water to his rice field. Rice field needs retention of water. A lot of water has to retain in the field. He puts the pulls the canal and irrigates the field. Next morning he goes, there is no water. How the rice will grow? Then he asked his father, he was just learning, what's so hard to bring water to my field, but water is not staying. And I have seen that there are ridges, it's visible. The father said, son, you don't know the techniques of farming. There must be some hole under the reeds that you have to plug in. Plug in the ridges. That we do not do. We do not remove the obstacles that are in the path of devotion. And we do not achieve that state when we can see Jo kuch hai so tu hi hai. Whatever exists, it is thou, O Lord. When you see God, your most beloved being in a person, how are you going to treat? Whatever that person treats you doesn't matter. It is God behaving, reacting you. You can only be blissful, you can only bless another person because it is God. Nothing that change coming because that devotion is leaking through the obstacles. So, Sri Ramakrishna said, what are the different stages of devotion? I said about ceremonial worship, repeating God's name, mental worship and contemplation, which is the highest. Sri Ramakrishna said, you have to practice from where, the first stage is holy company. Holy company where you talk about spiritual matter, where you understand that there is something beyond this world that we perceive and we desire and we want and we feel that everything I seek and I need it, this world can give. When that paradigm shifts, that, world cannot give whatever I seek. There is deeper seeking in my heart and it cannot be fulfilled without God. When you have such thing come, then you get some holy company. Someone who can talk to you about spirituality, about God, who has practiced God, and this holy company is the first step for bhakti. Still I have to come the obstacles. Then, what happens with holy company? This is the beginning. This is scripture say, satsangatve nissangattam. With holy company, you get more and more deeper interest in the spiritual matter. With that comes aloneness. Not loneliness. Aloneness. You feel, you don't need any other support. Satsangatve nissangattam. After that, nissangatte nirmohattam. When you are happy with yourself, not dependent on others for your joy, and you are getting more closer and closer to a spiritual ideal, then nissangatte nirmohattam. Then delusion goes away. Delusion, misunderstanding, wrong idea that the world is all in all for me, that goes away. The thinking of something unreal to be real, something intangible to be tangible, that goes away. Nirmohatvam. The moha goes away. Attachment goes away. Satsangatte nissangatvam, nissangatte nirmohatvam. Nirmohatve nischala chittam. Then after that, your mind becomes calm, tranquil, unagitated, unperturbed. Not only during meditation, but all the time. When even adverse thoughts and adverse ideas want to make it restless, it becomes nischala tattvam. Nischala tattve jivana muktim. After that, when you are so firmly established in the poise and the calmness of your mind that external factors also don't disturb it, then you are going to attain Jivan Mukti. Nothing can change you. We are always happy. So that is the importance of holy company. After holy company comes Shraddha. Then, little at highest, I told in the verse, but how we proceed in the path of devotion through holy company. Through holy company, there comes Shraddha or faith in God. That there is God. He will fulfill all my wants. That type of faith comes. I need to seek Him. That type of faith comes. After that, Shraddha comes Nishtha. Then you choose one idea and make it the symbol of God. And want to reach the highest truth by completely holding on to that form or that idea or that ideal, that aspect of God. Maybe personal God, maybe some idea what God is, but that becomes Nishtha. God in the heaven for Semitic religions. God as Avatara for Hindus is the same thing. But that person will say, God for me is Vishnu or Shiva or Ramakrishna or Durga. That is my chosen ideal. I love that aspect of God. I love the whole Mother Kali. Everything seems to be so blissful. All others are different forms of God. But Mother Kali, that just I am obsessed with that. It is just obsession with that particular form of God is called Nishtha. Nothing else matters. Whenever he or she wants to think of God, closes the eyes, that form comes. Whenever he or she prays, that form comes. Whenever he or she visits any other temple, that form she starts or he starts seeing. It is all Mother Kali will be seen whether he goes to mosque or a church or a synagogue or Gurudwara. She feels the presence of Mother Kali there. So that, the maturation of Nishtha. Nishtha is not the end. After that comes Bhakti. After this comes Bhakti after Nishtha. Now Bhakti is the intense love for God. Love for the world has become less. Love for God is the greater priority. That Nishtha comes. Nishtha is not the end. This Bhakti is not the end. Then comes Bhava. Then comes, he sees the form of God or become engrossed in the ideal of God and become speechless. It's in Bengali also it is used, Bhava. So he has been transported to that stage. Bhava Samadhi. Sri Ramakrishna was, it's not always the image that makes you Bhava, you have to see the just Mother Kali's image. Sri Ramakrishna was going through a paddy field and he saw beautiful white cranes flying across the somber rain clouds. And the beauty of that contrast made him senseless. He just fell down on the ground. And what was he at that time? Only 7 years of age. That is Bhava Samadhi. He went into Bhava. He was immersed in the beauty, that beauty. No need of Mother Kali's form. So this Bhava can be of anything. Just you get engrossed in that feeling, in that form, in that idea. You become speechless. After Bhava is Mahabhava and Prema. Then man totally forgets. Human being totally forgets about the world, about his own body. He has full control over the senses, that the senses and flesh, they cannot torment him anymore. And he laughs, weeps in the name of God. So that is Mahabhava. Prema, when Sri Ramakrishna had Prema. When he had Prema, he was with so much intense devotion for God that from pores in the skin, blood started oozing out. Instead of sweat, blood used to come out. And the body used to feel very hot. He used to be so heated in the body that he used to go and sit in Ganga for a whole day. So that is Prema, intensest devotion to God. You need not be afraid of Prema, because Prema is the experience which only incarnations of God had. We won't have Prema. This highest experience of devotion. Bhairavi Brahmani, when Sri Ramakrishna asked, I have that experience, what has become? I tried many medicines, nothing helped. Bhairavi Brahmani said, it is not disease. It is prema, supreme devotion to God. Radha had it. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had experienced it. Now you are experiencing it. Not much is described even in the scriptures that everyone can have. So no need to worry that my devotion to God will make to that heated body or blood oozing out from my pores of the skin. It won't happen to us. But those are the stages of devotion. Now when a devotee worships God, he understands that God is Supreme Being. I worship Him in that form or in this symbol. Then after worshipping, devotee asks for pardon from God. He says, O Lord, in my worship I have attributed forms to Thee, who are formless. O Thou teacher of the world, by my hymns I have, as it were, contradicted Thy indescribable nature. By going on pilgrimage, I have, as it were, denied Thy omnipresence. O Lord of the universe, pray, forgive me for these 3 transgressions. It's all the supreme devotion. When you have started finding God is the real presence, everything else that we see rests on God. So going to pilgrimage, he asked for forgive. You are everywhere, but I considered you in that holy place and I went there. Please forgive me that. It was lack of my knowledge. I praised you through hymns. You are indescribable. How can I praise? And you are formless. I worship the uniform. Lord, please pardon me. So now we come to the obstacles in the path of devotion. Simple way, in a very simple Vaidhi Bhakti. What is there? We come to the temple. So how we are mistaken. Sometimes people are there who go to the temple. They are rich or powerful or prestigious person. They go to the temple and if they expect some separate treatment, I am a minister of this province, I should be welcomed and taken to the temple or the church. If we have that sort of idea, that is an obstacle in devotion. You will never grow in devotion. In temple, there are certain norms. Going to the temple is the first step of devotion. Certain norms. How you should sit in the temple. How you should behave in the temple. They say don't stretch your legs when you sit in the temple. In the temple, people sit on the ground generally. So don't stretch your legs towards deity or towards any side. Don't lie down. Never gossip. Temple is the place of worship of God. If there also you take your mind and talk about what you used to talk in your room or in your friend's room, you talk there, you have lost all purpose of coming to the temple, driving for half an hour, coming to the temple and taking the same mind. That is an obstacle for a devotion. You won't have any feeling of the presence of Mother Kali or Sri Ramakrishna or Sri Krishna in the temple. So don't have idle gossip and don't talk loudly. When you go to the temple, feel the presence. Try to feel. You have not yet reached that state. You feel God's presence in the image or the symbol. But try to feel that there is God. And lower your voice. Don't talk loud. And in our personal behavior, stick to truthfulness. When you resort to lies, small lies, that also takes away our devotion. We have to be very moral and stick to truthfulness as much as possible. There is possibility in sticking to truth, but for small reasons we just say false things, and that just sips away our devotion. Someone said, "Why don't I have a devotion?" So he asked, "I'll reply you. Can you bring some water in that sieve?" There was a sieve plate where you stain. So how can I bring water in this stainer? So that's what the taking of having the growth in bhakti or devotion is. There are all the holes in you and there is a seepage of all your devotion and you want to retain that devotion. First unplug that. Have a pot, have a plate a cup to bring the water. Don't bring water in sieve. That's it. Then there is another obstacle is disregarding the scriptures. Scriptures are the words of God. Sri Ramakrishna said, Bhagavata Bhakta Bhagavan. Scripture, devotee and the God are one in three forms. One should respect Scripture and the devotee of God as God Himself. So don't denigrate the Scripture. Maybe some of the things in the Scripture, it doesn't suit your religion. Don't accept that. But saying that the Scripture are the creation of some human minds, don't do that. That is also one will harm your devotion. Then finally this comes repeating the name of God mechanically. That also is an obstacle. You do japam and you don't try to gain the taste or love for the name of God. You have to try to attain love. Though we have love in the heart, but we need to have that love for the name of God, for devotee, for the Scriptures. And that has to be made one persistent attempt to do that. That's what the channelizing of our love is. That's how the Bhakti Yoga is. If just we go and sit and we start reading Ram, 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 or Jesus, 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 and we'll have the love for that name, it won't come. You have to try to have that love for God. So, just mechanically also, that thing, it's also an obstacle. Other obstacles in the path of devotion is company of evil-minded people. Evil-minded in the sense, those who do not believe in bhakti, those who do not believe in spiritual ideal. And when you start talking to them, and you are not yet established, you have desires. So your conversation will turn to some worldly things, and your desires and passions will be roused up, and you will forget totally, your devotion will slowly become less. That's a great obstacle. Those who do not believe in God, believe in the path that you are choosing, don't have intimate relation with them. Hi, hello is okay. You have to make all good relation with everyone. But don't go and try to convince about God and devotion and what it can bring. Don't try to convince those who are unlikely or not of that mind. Try to have just superficial relation to the persons who are not really of your mind. Dogmatism is another thing, obstacle in the path of attaining supreme devotion. What is dogmatism? My path alone is the right path. My way or no way. That comes from very misunderstood idea about God. God is Sri Ramakrishna and God cannot be any other thing. That is very dogmatic idea. That will harm. You will become exclusive, you will become one-sided, you will lose the perception of God, the all-pervading Spirit. From dogmatism springs tendencies towards exclusiveness and intolerance, who are really obstacles. Another obstacle is emotionalism. I just said that the Supreme Bhakti, when one has Mahabhava, he will either cry or laugh or shed tears or weep. That is one thing. That is in the state of supreme devotion. But we find people just singing some songs and started crying. This is emotionalism. That is not the supreme devotion. We should not fool ourselves, nor we should be fooled by others when we find that emotion expressed. Little singing of kirtan, congregational songs with a little devotion can bring tears. So this expression of emotions is also dangerous in the path of bhakti. So this has to be controlled. There are tears of many kinds, tears of anguish, fear, depression. All are not tears of love. Sri Ramakrishna says, tears of fear or depression comes from the corner towards, from the eyes, from that corner which is near the nose. Which is near the ear, from that corner comes the tears of joy, tears of love. You can experience. That happens. Emotions sometimes make us feel like I will just go for spiritual practice. I have no connection with the world. Many people are there, something happens, some bereavement, some shock, and they think, no, I want to renounce everything and go away. And that is not really an upsurge of religious fervour. That is just emotionalism which has to be checked, controlled. shedding tears, dancing and jumping in the by singing this thing. It has to be controlled. External expression of religious sentimentalism is not real devotion. Devotion is transformation of the heart, real inner growth. People with that, Sri Ramakrishna said, one person had some bereavement at house and he gave up. Say, I want to go away in search of God. World is useless and it's happiness. There is no happiness in the world. Anityama sukham. There is no happiness in the world. So I go in search of God. So he goes to Benares, the holy place of Hindus, and to become a monk. Then there he goes, he had no religious fervour, and after some time he finds some job and writes a letter after 1 month. Oh, I have found a job in Benares, don't worry, I'll come back. So that is called Markata Vairagya, monkey renunciation. Not real love for God, but just temporary expression of some bereavement, some shock, some unfulfilled desire in the world, and you want to give up the world totally and come to God. You can't do that. That's not possible. That is also an obstacle in the path of devotion. Next is lack of spiritual root, Ishta-nishtha. That's a very important point. Ishta-nishtha and dogmatism. How to balance? Dogmatism is to say, my God alone is God. There is no other God but my God. There is no other path but my path. That is dogmatism. And Ishta-nishtha is like Tulsidas said, Tathapi mama sarvasva Rama kamalalochana. God is in various forms, but for me, O Lord, you are this Rama with lotus-eyed Rama, you are my all in all. That is Ishta-nishtha. For me, Sri Krishna. For you maybe Mother Kali. For you maybe other, maybe Allah. For you maybe Jesus, Guru Nanak, or any Omkar. But for me, it is Krishna. That is my God. That is called Ishta-nishtha. I see God everywhere. It is Krishna that you worship. I feel church, you worship Jesus. I see this Krishna being worshipped as Jesus. I go to Shiva temple and pour water on Shiva Linga, but I feel that it is Krishna being worshipped as Shiva. So your Krishna comes everywhere. In all the temples you go, it becomes your Krishna, but you do not contradict with other forms of worship, with other deities being worshipped. That is called Ishta-nishtha. Firm attachment with that particular aspect of God. So, when there is lack of a spiritual root, Ishta-nishtha, progress is slow. Very difficult. Making that God is everywhere and you go and you attend all the prayers, all religious prayers and all that. It's very shallow. You won't get deep. You have to go deep to have that realization. God has become all. Another thing, obstacle comes in the spiritual path, sticking with non-essentials, observances, Shuchi-bai we call. You have to be purified with everything. Whatever you do, you have to wash your hand, you have to bathe, you have to change. All these things are important for the time being. But to get stuck up with that non-essentials is an obstacle in the path of devotion. Like purity of food. Food should be that pure, it shouldn't have that food, that thing, it should not be touched by this person, it should not be left overnight. All these things become obsession and becomes an obstacle. Like the dress, like the posture, what should you dress to go to the temple? You must have that dress. It's all external. So maybe for some beginner it is important to have a clean cloth, loose cloth, you can sit comfortably. But that is not the end all of bhakti. And finally, the important thing is not the external, non-essentials, but charity, austerity, japa, meditation, reasoning, generalizing mind towards God, reasoning that God has become all. Those things are very important other than this simple, easy external things. Not sticking to external non-essentials, fastidiousness, it also becomes an obstacle in the path of devotion. And finally, display of devotion. That is one dangerous obstacle. To people like to feel that when they are devotees, a real devoted person, they earn respect. So, in that matter, displaying your own devotion is not real devotion. Sri Ramakrishna said, be aware of the person who has tulsi leaf on his ear, kane tulsi, mukhalsa, dighal punta nari, like that he has many examples. But he said, who just shows devotion. There are people who will, when there is a big congregation, they will come and make prostrate to God. And they have to come when the hall is full. Then they will come. People should see that I am very devoted. So, and they will start praying, and other days you won't find. But when there is big crowd, then that happens. This is the show. Then this is obstacle for that person. Instead of showing to have the honor, and it's all of egotism. I know that person. One person was there in India. So whenever there was some special puja, people used to come. So he will not come in the morning. Mangal Arati time will open at 4 o'clock. He will not come at 4 o'clock. He will come at about 11:30, when all will come. And then he will have long prostrate pranam, and then stotra and all that, and you have to give that. So like that, answering that thing. That is a show of egotism, and that is an obstacle in the path of devotion. When these all obstacles are taken care of, holes are plugged, then have real devotion growing from the heart, channelizing, taking everything that happens in the world. First, our duty is to think of God. Yes, I will go and pray to God for this. Yes, whenever you are sick, shocked, anything, you go to God and pray, Lord, remove that. This is a Kama Bhakti, no doubt. This will lead it to our Niskama Bhakti. Whenever there is joy, come to God. Oh, my son got this award. My daughter is rewarded this thing. Lord, it's all your grace. Connect with God. It's everything. Whether there is shock or happiness. Start getting connected with God. Slowly, love for God, faith in God. Then all this will come. All this will come. And the holy company and reading of good books. Great lives. Great lives. Life of Jesus, life of Sri Ramakrishna. All these great lives just inspires us. And they all lived similar life. All dedicated to God, all pure, wonderful, wonderful personalities. And without even being tried, we can't become Jesus, we can't become Sri Ramakrishna. But their life just inspires us. And without our knowledge, we start imitating, liking, loving them. That will be the growth in towards God. And finally, what will happen when we have plugged all the holes, then we grow. Then we say, Vasudeva Sarvamiti. We become like that Mahatma who sees God. This is God who has become all. In the Gita it is said. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Sa Mahatma. Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. It's very rare such a person is found who sees God in everything. Jo kuch hai so tu hi hai. It is the highest ideal. It is mukti. It is emancipation, salvation, Jivan Mukti. That is Jivan Mukti. That is our goal, to see God in everywhere. And it will begin with our love for a particular form of God. With Ishtanishta, with holy company, Ishtanishta, getting connected to God with every our duty and household things. And finally will come a day when we'll say, Jo kuch hai so tu hi hai. And as Sri Krishna said, Vasudeva Sarvamiti. So Mahatma Sudurlabha. We will attain that very rare and exceptional state of the mind, but we will see God when we will plug all the holes in our field. Water will retain, bhakti will retain, it will mature. That is prayer for you all and also for me as well.